Buying a camper van in Canada is way harder than you think, and in all honesty, you need to be warned before you even start looking. We've learned the hard way, so in this video, we're going to break down the biggest pitfalls before you start buying a van. We'll cover why vans 10 years and older are banned, why new isn't always better, why RV dealers can't always be trusted, the scary truth that there's no MOT or mandatory inspection, and obviously the shocker for foreigners with the taxes, hidden costs, and of course, needing a residential address. So let's get started.
Future like a rerun, standing on the verge of a new.
As you know by now, Janine and I have come to Canada for the very, very first time, and we're so excited. But in all honesty, the last few weeks have been a bit of an ordeal in a minefield of a market looking for RV, campervan, motorhome. We are here to do the road trip of a lifetime. We've been dreaming of this for such a long time, and we've just been looking for the van to do it in. However, there have been some issues along the way that had we would have known about fully, we might have been more equipped for what was ahead. And the reason why we're making this video is because we know people who want to come and do this. Also, it might be helpful to any locals as well, because there are some new sort of policies or things happening in the RV world that people don't know about, that in fact that we didn't know about until you guys actually commented on our videos and sent us messages, which we're very grateful for, letting us know about this. And it's only through a bit more research that we can make this video now, and it's really helped us whilst looking for a van. The good news is we found a camper van. We've actually got one. We bought it, and more about that later. But before we get to that, let's go straight into it. So, do you buy a used van or do you buy a new van? You'd expect that buying a new van every single time, if you've got the budget for it, would be the best thing to do. Well, in Canada or North America, it's not always the case. The reason being, once again, this is one of the things that you guys have told us about, is that from 2018 onwards, there's huge demand, much like there was, in COVID time in the UK and stuff, for RVs and campers and what have you. So with that huge demand, to meet it, apparently the build quality of these camper vans and RV has got less. They've used cheaper materials to build them, done it in quicker time, lower quality control, and it's resulted in a lot of recalls, people buying brand new RVs and needing them repaired straight away. From what we hear, the more gadgets and stuff that it's got on it, the more trouble you're in. Whilst we think that's really devastating for anyone involved, especially when it's your life savings and what have you, it shouldn't happen. Actually, our experience has been in the used RV market, and as everybody across the world knows, that really is a minefield. We're not actually in the used RV market, we're in the vintage retro RV market. And that means that with our budget, the vast majority of the vehicles we're looking at are 20, 30, 40. We even looked at a 50-year-old van, which was interesting to say the least. So used RVs, we find them beautiful looking things because we don't have anything that looks like them in the UK. So I think character-wise, they look amazing. However, obviously, they're fraught with potential dangers. Obviously, a lot of them, the vast majority of them, are at least a V8 petrol engine. That mostly petrol engines out here with the odd diesel, but mostly petrol, which means they guzzle fuel. The good news is that fuel is cheaper here than it is in the UK, and apparently America's cheaper than Canada as well. So it balances out a little bit, but it's worth bearing in mind. What makes the used RV market even more dodgy is the fact there are no MOTs out here. And if you don't know what an MOT is, what I'm talking about, in the UK, we have an annual inspection of all of our vehicles to make sure that it's safe. The good news, whilst we all dread MOTs coming up, the good news about MOTs is that all of the tests are recorded on a database that anybody can access just by putting in the registration details of the car or van or whatever. Easily, you can find out the history of a vehicle. Out here, none of that. You're really relying on people doing the maintenance themselves and keeping good paperwork, but unfortunately it's not always the case. Our experience has been, we've seen many vans now, and the majority of them look beautiful inside and out, but when you turn on the engine, there's quite clearly some serious issues there. And obviously if you drove them away and you didn't see the signs, you could be looking at huge amounts of money to try and fix it. What Canada has got, though, are businesses that are set up to do pre-auto inspections of your vehicles. Now, that's a great thing, but it's also like, if your budget's tight, then having an inspection on a number of vehicles can whack up. So you're looking at a lot of expense just before you've even bought the bloody thing, just to make sure it's okay. And unfortunately, in our experience, a lot of these inspection places want you to drive the vehicle into their workshop because they want to raise it on the ramps and what have you. You can also get a camper inspection, habitation, propane, that sort of thing. That also costs quite a lot of money, hundreds of dollars. Once again, that's before you even buy the vehicle. So already the costs are quite big to try and make sure you don't get something dodgy. We ended up getting something with quite a lot of paperwork, and you can see that it's been kept to a high level. And there's always places like Canadian Tire out here that you can drive into, and they'll do a full service and see if there's any issues. And that actually is quite budget friendly. Considering all of the other costs that are involved. The best thing you can do, I hear you say, is buy it from an RV dealer. Unfortunately, once again, we have had a bad experience with RV dealers, which you will see in next week's video, or next video that comes up whenever that is, which has led us to believe that you can't always trust RV dealers. I'm sure there's actually majority of them out there are really good and trustworthy and have got great reviews and stuff in Canada and America, but our experience has been the opposite. The most important thing to do, obviously, is to get a warranty. And if they don't offer an engine warranty, then they could be happy with you driving out of there with something with serious mechanical issues. So what about this 10-year-old vehicle ban? Well, this was a new one to us as well. I only found out a few days ago, maybe a week ago, from you guys on our last video. You left some people left comments, 2 free comments about it. It scared the life out of me when I read it, because I thought, oh my God, it's actually a deal breaker for us. If we can't because all the vehicles we've been looking at have been so old, that means that in the 10-year bracket, the budget goes up considerably. And we know because of the MOT situation, no vehicle inspection situation, if your budget goes up that much even, you could still go drive away an absolute banger of a vehicle. Do you know what I mean? So that scared us. I looked into it further and I found out whilst it's concerning, it's not all that bad. Basically what it is that I think it started in America, where certain campsites are banning vehicles that are 10 years or older. And they're doing that because of the way that they look. From what I understand, they don't want vehicles to drag down the look of the park, which I understand, of course. It's not just America now. Apparently it's catching on, and it's in Canada. Places in Alberta and stuff have been reported doing it as well. The good news is it's not federal law. It's just something. It's almost like a policy that private campsites are adopting. From what I understand, it's not so much of an issue if your vehicle, whilst it being old, still looks okay, still looks well kept and stuff. So the idea is something to bear in mind if you're shopping for vehicles out here. Make sure you don't get something that looks awful. Don't, like an old banger. Don't, get something that, if you want to go to campsites, which many of us will have to at some point, then it's worth bearing in mind. Before we get on to the final stinker, we're in Canada right now. This is definitely worth bearing in mind. We are in winter pretty much. Thankfully, we're in Vancouver, and the climate here is, from what we've experienced, is milder than it is in the UK at this time of year. Although I think a lot of the Northern Hemisphere is getting a milder winter at the moment, a milder start to winter. Either way, if we were to drive in either direction for a few miles, or a certain amount of miles, we would come across mountains and snow and ice. If we were to go a little bit further than that even, we'll come across 0 degrees, sub-zero temperatures. And Janine and I spent last winter in Lapland in Scandinavia, in the Arctic Circle, and we know what it's like to be in a van, a camper, when it's minus 40 outside. If everything isn't the way it should be, it's dangerous. It's super dangerous. Lesser than that is that your things will start breaking and you start getting into real trouble. If you can't heat the van, you're in big trouble. Funnily enough, the majority of the vehicles, in fact, all the vehicles we've seen, aren't like winter vehicles. In the used market out here, to buy a winter vehicle, you're looking at a lot more money. Your budget needs to go much, much higher. And of course, if you're going to do it in the new vehicle market, you're looking at hundreds of thousands. So it's really, you've got to bear that in mind. Snow tyres are obviously mandatory in most of Canada as well at this time of year. Probably the best thing to do if you want to go to extreme winter climates is to build the van yourself if you're on a low budget. So, Mercedes Sprinters are out here. We've seen them. Buy one. They do a lot of miles. They're very reliable, big insulation, fully winterized vehicle. But aside from that, yeah, most of the vans we've seen won't cut the mustard when it comes to sub-zero temperatures or really extreme sub-zero temperatures. Anyway, the last thing that is a big shock to foreigners, and it was a shock to us when we bought our vehicle just recently, was you bought it now, you have to go somewhere called, I think it's called the IBCC or something like that. It's to get it registered and insured. Actually, IBCCs are all over the city or town. We went to a supermarket to go to ours, sat down with a really nice bloke and went through the details of the van. The surprise bit is you've negotiated the cost of the van with the person privately selling it or whoever, and you've got them to write down, and then you go and get it registered. They ask for how much you paid for the vehicle, and they put a 12% tax on it, even on a used vehicle. That's something that's, once again, we don't have in the UK. New vehicles you pay tax on, used vehicles you don't. Here you do, 12%. 12% on a used vehicle that already costs tens of thousands of dollars is a big chunk of money, bit of a shocker, so be prepared. The second thing is, when you're coming to get it insured, you basically, because we're out of towners, we're foreigners from the UK, you're basically treated like you're a brand new driver, like a 17, 18-year-old driver with a first vehicle, high risk, and you pay premium for that on insurance as well. So insurance isn't cheap. And the third thing is that you need an address to get the insurance and to register the vehicle, to register it especially. In America, we believe that the process for this is a lot more complicated, actually a little bit off-putting. In Canada, it's a little bit easier. The reason being is that you can put your Airbnb address on it and there's no questions asked. So we quite like that. So whilst you have to provide an address, a Airbnb address seemed to do the job. But from the whole things that we've told you just there in this list, and we wanted to create this video so that you understand what it's like out here. It can be a lot of money, and it can be high risk, and it can be fraught with danger. However, we've bought a van. Do we think that our van ticks all those boxes? Absolutely not. Do we think it will do the job for what we've got ahead of us? I reckon so. Pretty sure it will, or I'm hoping it will. And are we looking forward to it? Yes. Thank you to everyone who commented and sent us messages about this information. This is the beauty of YouTube when you're in a new land, in a foreign land, and you don't know too much about it. And if you liked this video and you found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see what van we've got, Janine's editing that video right now. And if you subscribe, you'll see when that video is uploaded pretty soon, hopefully, so we can show you it. I hope you like it as much as we do. Yeah, should be interesting. Here's to the future. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Check it out. We now own a Canadian campervan.
Woo! It really is the nicest one so far.
Even in the hard times, you and I can weather any storm.